Hello, I'm Christopher Walker with Closely Observed English, and in this video I'm going to give feedback on a piece of writing at C1 advanced level. Here we have an example of a proposal. So as always, first we look at the rubric to find what the three content points are that need to be addressed. The rubric is over just here. So it says that your school wants to do more to help its language students improve their communication skills and has asked current students to write proposals making suggestions for what the school should do. In your proposal, you should explain what language students currently do to improve their communication skills, describe any problems they have, and recommend any activities or facilities that the school should provide. So, what do language students currently do? That's going to be the first one, and it's relative to their related to their communication skills. Describe any problems they have. That's the second one, and recommend any activities or facilities that the school should provide. So that's our third one. Right. Well, with that in mind, let's read through and see if the content points are addressed. So, proposal for better communication skills in French. Introduction. As a representative of the French students of the School of Languages, this proposal is due to describe the difficulties we are encountering at the moment regarding our communication skills, followed by our recommendations that might lead to a more beneficial learning experience and to overcoming the plateau we are hitting. Okay. Pronunciation issues. As it is a frequent struggle for every French learner, though we practice daily, we often find it hard to read a text out loud or to have a natural sounding dialogue, therefore to send our message. We feel it would be of great advantage is the school hired some native speakers that could help us master the accent. In this sense, specific communication-oriented classes included in our program might help us focus more on phonetics and French-like oral muscle movements when speaking. Missing French experiences. Although our language exams organized by the school are coming in a short period of time and we are intensively preparing doing mock dialogues, we do not feel comfortable enough when having to talk. Moreover, we have learned about French culture only from books since now, and as a result, we lack diverse learning experience. From our point of view, the more we practice and understand about the living life surrounding this language, the better we can communicate. Therefore, we suggest that the school offer us an organized visit in France next week, starting from touristic activities to day-to-day conversations with locals. Conclusion. Despite the financial efforts required, if those facilities are implemented readily, we would be able to transmit our thoughts and ideas more efficiently and naturally. Okay, so how did we do on the content? We wanted to know what language students currently do to improve their communication skills. So what do? They practice daily. Okay. What else do? They are preparing by doing mock dialogues. But that's more exam preparation than saying what they currently do to improve their communication skills. Is there anything else? Not really. So that one, it's a difficult point to address in the way that the candidate has addressed the points generally and the general approach to the proposal. I'll come to that in a moment. But I don't think that that's a very clearly explained point. And describe any problems they have. Okay, that's definitely done clearly. Pronunciation issues and missing French experiences are the problems they have. And the activities that they recommend are very clear as well. Hiring native speakers is one, and going on a day trip or field trip to France is another. So in terms of the content mark over here then, for a 5, we're looking at all content is relevant to the task. It is all relevant, so that's good. The target reader is fully informed. I would say that the first point is not fully explored. However, is that then all the way down to a 3, or can we push it to a 4? I would say that you can kind of read between the lines a little bit to get an idea of what language students currently do to improve their communication skills. So there is some aspect there. It's not completely ignored. It's not completely omitted. So I'm going to go for a 4 here. And the way that I would treat this is actually to kind of go back to the beginning of the task and start again. And this is just to push the content a bit higher. For the others, we'll see in a moment. I think that the problem that the student has got here is that they are full of ideas, and that's great. It's great to have lots of ideas because it means that you're going to be able to write as soon as you go into the exam. You're not going to be struggling with that blank page thinking, oh my goodness, what am I going to write about? That's not going to be a problem for a student like this. The problem is the opposite, too many ideas. And the problem we've got here is that so many of the words available in the word count have been spent on describing the problems and suggesting solutions that there isn't really enough done talking about what language students currently do to improve their communication skills. My suggestion for approaching this would be to limit things so that you just do the task. Don't worry about having a great impression in terms of the quality of your ideas. As such, don't show off that you have so many ideas. Restrict the number of ideas you communicate so that you can expand on each one. So start by, after the introduction, go into current state of play, for example. These are the things we currently do. Our lessons are structured so that the teacher presents a piece of language to us, and it's our job to practice that language by talking to our partners. We do role plays, we record ourselves, we listen to our recordings. These are the things that we currently do. It's very important to make it crystal clear what the current stage is in a proposal before you move on to problems and recommendations. So that would be a whole paragraph talking about that content point. Then you go to describing a problem, or maybe two, if you think you could do it, if they are linked in a way. I think you could just about do it. If you reshape the introduction to be a bit shorter, maybe just one line or two rather than we've got 3.5 here, it might be a bit overkill. You could talk about pronunciation issues as a problem. So you could say that, for example, though the teacher explains the grammar very well, they seem to lack the ability to convey information about or convey feedback about our pronunciation, and perhaps having lessons with a native speaker would help. I mean, that's going on to the recommending activities. Okay, so let's stop for a second. Let's change it again. So the first option, after the introduction, have current situation, problems, activities. Okay, so those could be the 3 body paragraphs with their headings. Second option, because there are always many options, introduction, current situation, first aspect, in this case, pronunciation issues. So the same title. Detail the problem and suggest the solution. Then the next one, missing French experience. Detail the problem, suggest the solution. That could work pretty well as well. But notice in both of those plans, there's no real need for a conclusion. I don't see that there's need for a conclusion here because you're making recommendations. And unless the conclusion contains those recommendations, it's not going to communicate anything. So it's not really that necessary. Okay, so moving on to communicative achievement over here then. For a 3, we'll start there, shall we? Uses the conventions of the communicative task effectively to hold the target reader's attention and communicate straightforward and complex ideas as appropriate. Now, the quality of the ideas, as I've already mentioned, is high. These are good ideas and they are expressed well. So that's definitely in the student's favor. But let's have a closer look then at some of the language, and we'll see how much of it is really related to proposals. In terms of the register is definitely formal enough for a proposal. I like that. I think that some of the we sentences and our, like this, us, some of this could be restructured if appropriate to be in the passive rather than the active. So instead of we feel it would be of great advantage, you could say it is felt that hiring a native speaker would be an advantage, as this would help mastering the accent. That sentence then sounds a lot more formal because you'll notice there are no personal pronouns. Yeah. So that's one thing that could kind of move the communicative achievement a little bit higher. But otherwise, I think that it's pretty good. anything else that's kind of proposal-y? I think that the way that the suggestions are formulated, the recommendations, I think that's good. I like it because it's not like we must have this, we demand to have this. I like the way that it's kind of approached in a respectful way. You know, this idea of it's a great advantage to hire native speakers. Not we need, but it's a great advantage. I like that. I like this in the next one. From our point of view, the more we practice and understand about the living life surrounding this language, the better we can communicate. I like that. It's compelling. It tells the reader why they should actually pay attention and follow the recommendation. So I'm going to say that this is probably also worth a 4 because it has a lot of proposal-like language. The register is generally appropriate. There are places where it could be made a bit more formal. It doesn't need to be formal throughout, and I don't want to see passive, passive, passive. Passive used where appropriate, active used where appropriate, and the appropriate balance is some of each. And I think generally we're very close to that, so that's good. Organization. For a 3, text is well organized and coherent, using a variety of cohesive devices and organizational patterns to generate good effect. Well, it's organized nicely through the use of the headings. I forgot to mention the good use of headings here. That's more of a communicative achievement thing. But there is an aspect of organization here because each idea is represented by its own paragraph, and the paragraphs are built well. They introduce the situation, build the problem, and suggest a solution. Very nice organization. What about the language itself? Some of it, not quite. So, for example, here, this proposal is due to describe the difficulties. We wouldn't say is due to. We could say the train is due to arrive at the station any moment. We could say this proposal is to describe, or seeks to describe, or looks to describe. So a different choice of verb to fit the pattern there would be good. We've got nice longer sentences that are well managed. That's good on the language for organization side. I like this one, as it is a frequent struggle for every French learner, though we practice daily. We often find it hard to read a text out loud or to have a natural sounding dialogue, therefore to send our message. That's generally speaking a good sentence. This last clause, therefore, needs a linking word, maybe and therefore to send our message. It's just missing that one little thing. In this sense, I think that's about right as a link for the idea. Maybe in this way or by this means. That would work as well. Another nicely structured sentence, although blah, 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 we do not feel comfortable. Moreover, we've learned about French culture only from books since now. Since here is misused, but I think that's more of a language issue than organization. Since should actually be until or up to now. As a result is good. It's good for a proposal because it's formal. Yeah, I like the way these sentences are built. Good. Yeah. No, I like it. I like the organization. I'm gonna say a 4, but looking towards a 5. I think that the organization here is sound. There isn't a problem anywhere that I can see. Maybe little bits of language here and there, but that's going to be more of the language issue that we're going to be looking at next. So let's do that. Let's turn our attention to language. There are some nice expressions here that work well, and they work well because they're supported by good organization at a sentence and paragraph level. There are some examples, unfortunately, of language that is not quite right. We've looked at a bit of it already. I like the might lead to a more beneficial learning experience in the first paragraph. That's good. And to overcoming the plateau we are hitting. Yeah. Do you say you hit a plateau? You reach a plateau, don't you? You hit a ceiling. Because a plateau is a flat thing that you arrive at. Something that you hit, you need to come at a different aspect. So from below. That would be a ceiling. So hitting might not be perfectly appropriate there. It is a frequent struggle for every French learner. Is it frequent struggle or is it a constant struggle? It's different. Constant is unchanging. Frequent is many times the same. There's a small difference there. There's a little one here. We feel it would be of great advantage. I think this might be a typo. If the school hired, I'm pretty sure it's a typo, so you'd be forgiven for that. Help us master the accent. I like this. In this sense, specific communication-oriented classes included in our program, and that's nice, might help us focus more on phonetics, good, and French-like oral muscle movements. That could be misinterpreted by the wrong person, certainly. I would say instead of going like that, don't worry about muscle movements. I know this is a technical thing. You've got phonetics, that's great. I like that you've used that word. Maybe speaking patterns, intonation patterns, maybe not just phonetics, but pronunciation at the word and sentence level, because I know French is a bit like English, that they eat a lot of the letters in a word. Maybe something like that. This sounds a little bit convoluted. Okay, although our language exams organized by the school are coming up in a short period of time. So in a short period of time, that's like 6 words. You could say soon, is 1 word. And we are intensively preparing by doing mock exams. Oh, mock dialogues, I suppose. Dialogues, that's good. We do not feel comfortable enough when having to talk. I like that. I really do. We've talked about this, the use of the word since here. Diverse learning experience, you could just about get away with. It doesn't quite sound right. It's a bit wooden. We lack diversity of learning experiences. That would be better. I like the X of Y structure in formal writing. So a diversity X of learning experiences, the Y in X of Y. You find that a lot. I do have a video elsewhere on the channel where I talk about the difference between formal and informal register, and that's a big part of it. So if you're not completely sure about what I'm talking about here, go and check out that video. Therefore, blah, blah, blah. In France, next weeks. Do you mean next week? That's pretty soon. Maybe in the coming weeks. Starting from touristic activities. Touristic, is that even a word? I think it's a false friend that's imported. I hear it a lot in Polish. Starting from tourist activities. If you wanted to, you could say touristy with a Y at the end, but that sounds a bit informal. Or typical tourist activity. So use an adjective noun combination. That could work. Yeah. Otherwise, I think that it's all clear. I mean, there's no area where I felt like I didn't really know what was going on with the language. So I would say that the majority of it is appropriate. The grammar is generally good. Again, it's an organizational trick, but long sentences require tight grammar for them to work. And we've got good long sentences here. So the grammar is pretty good. So I'm going to go for a 3, which might seem a little bit low, but I'm always critical when it comes to the language element. But I'm saying 3 looking up at a 4, certainly. So overall, concluding remarks, this is a nice proposal. There's a lot of good here. A little bit of structural work might be needed so that they could address all 3 content points a little bit better, but otherwise, I would be happy with this sort of thing. It's a strong pass. So well done. So that's probably the first C1 Advanced proposal I've done as one of these videos. It's been interesting. If you've got an essay, proposal, report, review, something like that for C1 Advanced and you'd like me to look at it, head on over to my Facebook page and send me a message there. I'm getting a little bit slow replying and making these videos. Please forgive me. The new school year is fast approaching and I'm busy. However, if you go for the paid option, you send €5 through PayPal to me, I guarantee that I'll have the video prepared for you within 48 hours, and it's a private video. Once you've watched it and downloaded your copy, you can delete. I'll delete it so other people won't get to see it. So if you desperately need some feedback, that would be an option for you to consider as well. So until next time, thank you all very much and goodbye.